Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm Jake Fuller with my co-host, the big dog, Ed Brady, and we made it through another week, Ed. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
They still let us park out front.
Upset all the right people, and
yeah. Well, we're
hanging in there.
We're going to upset some more people today because that's what we do best. One way we're going to do that is
we roll, baby.
That's right. Well, we've got a special guest here today that we're really grateful for him coming in, and he was a former city commission candidate. I believe it was the at-large district, and it was at-large race. Here in Gainesville. Dejon Cain, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give the listeners a little background on you, and I know you ran for the city commission, and what prompted you to do that?
Okay, well, great. Well, first of all, I'm a graduate of Gainesville High School, class of 2003. I was the class president of Gainesville High School, and I work for the University of Florida Police Department. I'm police service tech. I've been there approximately 5 years. And what prompted me was our city commission has this thing where they like the same path and over and over and over again. And that path, they say every path starts with a passion. Well, I think that path has gotten contaminated. And we need some new leadership. We need someone that is going to get it done, not just words, but someone that cares. And I mean, I'm not just talking about, hey, I care. I'm talking about action. I'm talking about when people get in there, they'll see the results from our commissioners that we have elected to do that job. So that's what prompted me saying, look, we need somebody that's young, somebody that's motivated, and said, let's get it done, and not let's just talk, let's just do it.
Well, one example of where, the city, their whole mindset was in an article today where they decided to go ahead and demolish the police department and then build a new one there, which is fine. We need a new department, a new building. It was, from 1952, I believe. But one of the few dissenting voices, the only one right now on the city commission, Commissioner Todd Chase, questioned with our economic situation, why should we be required to put $100,000 worth of art into the new police building? It just seems like one of those luxuries that we shouldn't afford right now. And the whole mindset of the city commission comes down to a quote by Mayor Craig Lowe when he said, well, we can have both. We can have the building and art. Well, yeah, because it's not their money. So it's always easy to say, well, we can have both, because if it was coming out of his wallet, I'm sure it would be a different story.
Right.
But that's just one example of the mindset of the city commission. Now, so you were unfortunately, you didn't win the at-large seat, but have you come out in favor of anybody?
Definitely. Mr. Nathan Scott.
Nathan Scott?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in favor of him. I believe that he can get the job done and get it done efficiently and quickly and the right way. Again, we can't afford the same leadership at City Hall. We have to have, this is a very, very unique dynamic, we have to have change. And the change has to be quick because I'm going to tell you with this biomass that I'm quite sure you guys have been talking about, that's going to hurt a lot of people. And we have to have someone not only on that issue, but on every issue, Plan East Gainesville. That's another issue that we have to look at. And so with those issues, with the leadership, the person that I feel can carry Gainesville in that right direction and not just one same direction, I think he'll do a great job, and I have full support for him, and I'm not ashamed about it. And it's a nonpartisan race, and I do have his back 100%.
Our call-in line is 372-3995. Now, have you caught any flack for backing Nathan Scott? Because he's really, he's not the I would say the establishment candidate. There's a power structure.
Democrat side.
Yeah, there's a power structure.
Opposed the Democrat, and this is a nonpartisan race, but they make it partisan.
Well, of course, and I have. And let me say this, and I'm not afraid because I'm a direct person. Anyone that knows me, when I vote for someone, I vote because they're going to do the job. I don't vote because they're a Democrat. Because they are a Republican. I'm voting because they hold my values, because they're going to get it done, and they're not going to be wavering. One thing I can admire about Mr. Nathan is he's real. And through the whole campaign trail, I watched the Democratic candidate, Mr. Lauren Poe, and I watched him, and I took in and I said, wait a minute, let me sit down and analyze who's going to get the job done, who cares about the people, and that's who I came with. And to be honest, I could care less about the flag, because at the end of the day, when you make decisions as an elected official, your job is to work for the people, not for yourself. It goes back to you were saying about the financial stability of the city. That's who we're here to represent, and that's what I'm here to say. Look, we need to represent the people well, and we need new leadership. We cannot go down that same path.
Well, it goes right back to the term public servant.
Right.
And I think a lot of public servants have forgotten that's their role. I think they've gotten to the point where they think they're visionaries, and they have to promote their ideology, which doesn't necessarily fare well for a lot of citizens, and especially in East Gainesville. There's a place for biomass. It's just the way this deal was done.
Yes, sir.
It was just, it wasn't in the sunshine. It was pretty much rammed down everybody's throat, even though they say, we had plenty of public meetings. How can you have a public meeting when the contract is, most of it's been, redacted? You can't look at it, and so... it really is interesting how the lower income people in this city are they can barely pay their utility rates as it is now. Their utility bills, they're going to go up, and there's no relief for them.
You're so right. As a former employee of GRU, I work with the YES program, Field Services Division. I saw a lot of that, and a lot of the folks that we turned off were in East Gainesville. And again, a lot of them are not going to be able to afford this. A lot of them are struggling now. And that's something that we're going to have to, really get out there and say, hey, guys, you need to stand up. You need to get up and say, we got to stop this deal, and the deal needs to be stopped now. The county commission actually came out and talked about this. And to me, that was a blessing because it actually opened up a lot of people's eyes saying, look, if the county commission is saying we need to look at something else, then I think that sends a signal to our city officials that, they need to look at this thing and we need to do something else.
Of course, the Gainesville Sun has come out pretty much, backing the Gainesville City Commission and making it sound like, for some reason, Alachua County Commission should be wedded to the City Commission. They're not, they have their own role, and their role is to find the cheapest energy source for their customers, for their constituents, and so. Too bad that the city of Gainesville is not doing the same thing.
Well, that's why we need new leadership. It goes back to show you how arrogant, if I may say, that our city commission is. And it's a shame that we have the county commission actually saying, look, something's wrong with this picture. You know what? I admire someone that will get out and say, this problem is wrong. I can back you. I can talk up for you because you know what? The city commissioners with the county, they are actually backing their people, saying this is a bad idea. I mean, no matter how Gainesville Sun looks at it, the truth is the truth. And the truth is we're in an economic situation. People cannot afford that. We need to get our city commissioners back on the right track. We need to get Mr. Nathan Scott in office so that he can do the things he needs to do. I just think he's well qualified for it.
Yeah, you are fired up today. I love it. I love it. You're getting stronger as we go.
Well, let's take John on line one. Go ahead, John.
Hey, good topic the other day. I tell you what, the Dejon Cain runs again. He's got my support just because he's supporting Nathan Scott. Let me tell you something, how stupid they are down there. They just put a $300,000 roof on the police station 3 years ago. Now they're going to demolish it and put another one up. Okay, this biomass plant, they just don't get it. Rob Brigman came up after me and said, we're going to collect $7 million off this great company for, generating. He doesn't realize they don't give the tax, but there's not charity to the government. It's not public relations money. That tax revenue that Gainesville is going to collect from grant is going to be passed on to the consumers. They don't get it. They just simply don't get it.
I think they get it. They just don't want to acknowledge it. But we appreciate the call, John. We got to take a break here on Talk of the Town. But when we get back, I want to ask you some other questions about your opinions on the city and everything. And we'll be right back here on Talk of the Town.
Call Jake and Ed now, 372-3995. That's 372-3995.
All right, we're speaking with Dejon Cain, and he was a candidate for the at-large seat for the Gainesville City Commission, and he's come out in backing Nathan Scott. And we want to take this caller. We've got Harold on line one. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, very good. I'm Harold Save. Dejon Cain, thank you very much for coming on the show, sir. And I always thought what you had to say was very good, and thanks for having the courage to come on the show. I had one question for you. We go to the black-on-black crime task force all the time, but I think we have a new situation now with a black-on-black racism promulgated by the Alachua County Democratic Executive Committee. The Black Caucus intends to endorse Nathan Scott, but their official endorsement is being denied by the Democratic Executive Committee here. And the so-called people who are blocking it are identified as African Americans up there. So do you have any comment about that?
All right, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Let me say this. I feel that Nathan Scott's a credible candidate, and I believe that if the Black Caucus wants to back him, we need to let him back. We're in America, okay? No one has the right to stop anyone, you know. And you know, to be honest with you, I'm sick of it, all right? If we're going to be real, let's be real. They back Mr. Lauren Poe, the Democratic Party, okay? And if the Black Caucus want to back Mr. Nathan, we need to back Mr. Nathan. I think he's, like I said, a great qualified candidate.
Well, we've heard rumors of strong-arm tactics by the Democratic Executive Committee, not only in the city commission races, but everywhere. You know,
and also from some of the black leadership, and aimed at other candidates who are running for office. And did you experience anything like that you're willing to share with the audience?
Definitely. I mean, you know, I got a lot of flack about me supporting Mr. Nathan, you know, that I shouldn't support him, that takes away from the Democratic Party, that I should retract my statements if I put anything in the paper. So I've received some of that. And again, that type of thing doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me to bring it out. I think that's one of the issues we're having with the city commission. Too many things are done behind closed doors. People are not, they're afraid to say what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, I am a very firm believer, and I'll say this with all honesty in my heart. I'm backing him because I believe that he can lead this city, and I don't care because of what somebody believes, or I don't care because I'm a Democrat and he's a Republican. I think that's the point. We have to work together. You know, if someone's wrong, they're wrong. If they're right, and we're in America. And plus, it's a nonpartisan race, and I think that's something that people have forgotten. You know, look, we're running this race to get the best candidate, not the same old.
Well, I think everybody's a lot of people they want to forget it. And in fact, the media actually kind of makes it a partisan race because every time there's a city race, they always point out it's a nonpartisan race, and then they list who's a Democrat and who's a Republican. You know, that's just information that's irrelevant. If it's a nonpartisan race, it's a nonpartisan. You know, we should be looking at the best candidate. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And
now, I received during the race a number of anonymous tips and statements and stuff about what was going on, particularly with District 1. I know you're running at large, but let me ask you, did you attend the NAACP banquet that preceded the election?
I did not attend.
Oh, you were? Okay. Because that was one of the concerns, that just one candidate only was allowed to put her palm card and Henson Rawls in the official banquet pamphlet, but no one else was, either at large or in the District 1 race. So I didn't know if you'd had that experience, but it looks like you didn't.
I didn't have that experience, and I'm going to tell you, it's very interesting you bring that up. You know, there were a lot of things that took place, even with different forms, that my campaign team wasn't advised about. And those kind of things, you know, I would get other candidates say, hey, do you know about this form? And are you going to be there? And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? So those things were going on. But nevertheless, I'm going to tell you, I feel we ran a great campaign. And regardless of who they want there, we're gonna get the right results. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm not stopping here. Don't think by any means because I didn't get elected that I'm stopping. I'm gonna actually move like a train. And I'm gonna tell you better watch out because Mr. Cain's coming.
Well, good for you, because you know we need more citizens to get involved, and citizens that care. And the reason we bring up some of these accusations is because we had another candidate on for the District 1 race, Armando Grundy, and apparently he caught a lot of flack from Democrat officials that he was told not to come on this show. Henson Rawls steadfastly refused to come on our show, and so they've gotten their marching orders from the Democrats, from John Reiskin and these others, that stay off this show. We don't need you, being questioned. Don't answer any hard questions.
Well, let me say this.
And Armando bucked the system, and that's why one of the reasons they went after one of their own. They put up Henson Rawls against Armando Grundy, and he was a Democrat also.
Well, the thing about it is, I'm gonna tell you, first of all, as a public servant, our job is to come on this show. Our job is to tell the constituents what's really going on. as a lot of you know, I'm an honest Christian, and I'm like this. We want to be blessed. We want God to move things. But the first thing of being blessed, you have to be honest. So I could care less about, hey, they don't want you to come. They don't run my life. My job as an elected official or a potential elected official in any arena is to come on this show and say, hey, they're wrong. We need to stand up against it. And it doesn't matter what you are. And I could care less about the Democratic Party because I am who I am.
Have you, have you given any thought about running for other office?
Oh, definitely. That's a fun question there. Definitely. I'm actually, I've been thinking about running for governor. That's something that I feel we need. Something as a state worker. A lot of families are struggling. A lot of businesses are struggling. People just don't have the means anymore.
Have you thought about a possible run for the county commission? Say, one of the stories that we're going to talk about later was that Mike Byerly has come out and announced his intentions to run. I think he qualified to run for
county commission,
re-election for county commission for a fourth term, and he has no Democrat opposition. You might be the guy.
And it's very, very possible. My thing of it is, we have to have an even playing field here. And I'm hoping that me being on this show, someone will hear me and people will want to support Cain campaign. If I get the support, guys, I'll run. And that's my take on that. If I get the support, people say, look, we'll back you. We have your back because you have the person with the motivation. You have the person that cares. You have the person that want to get it done. But the thing is, I want people to back me, and I'm going to look out for them.
Yeah, well, I really, we both have our ears to the, political ground, and I can say for a fact that there are people that would cross party lines to back you, to run in, and just to run against Mike Byerly because, he really has, one of his platforms is that he said he has helped to address the problem of poverty in this county. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, he's actually added to the poverty level.
It's made it worse.
And I just think that's totally disingenuous, and we don't need any more of that kind of stuff.
And I agree with you 100%. And I'm going to tell you, I have thought about running for county, and I feel good in here, I tell you, because people are finding out what's going on. And again, I would love to run for county. I would love for people to support me. CainCampaign2012.com. Site's still up. And I'm ready. I mean, if we get the support, people call in, let me know you want me to run, and I'll look into it. People want to join the campaign team, let me know, and we will do it.
Well, I tell you, I believe that you I'm not sure where you live, but I think you might be living in his district.
Yeah, I'm on Archer Road there.
Well, there you go. You're in his district.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
it'd be worth exploring.
Yeah. Let's take Debbie on line one. Go ahead, Debbie.
Well, Dejon, it's so good to hear you again. I have to tell you, I enjoy these forums so much because of you. You are a breath of fresh air because you speak truth to power. And,
thank you.
And my husband has really enjoyed you as well. But I just want to say something. I'm not trying to defend East Gainesville residents for their weak voter turnout, but I can understand why they give up. It's hard to fight the machine of Mayor Lowe, Commissioner Botcher, and company who work to keep them in poverty. And this is my question to you. I want to ask you, why was the former president of the NAACP, Dr. Michael Bowie, ignored when he sent a letter to the city commissioners asking them to withdraw their support for this costly, risky biomass plant, knowing that lower-income citizens would be hurt the most? It's just not fair.
You're bringing up a good point there. It is not fair. And I think that if we work together and we go down there, I would like to talk to him. I would love to, if you're listening, sir, please give me a call because I'm not afraid to go up there, and I'm not afraid to send a certified letter. I was a former candidate, and the things that are hurting East Gainesville, we need to speak up about. The things that people are going through. And I'm going to tell you, we need to hold a meeting on East Gainesville and talk to them about this biomass. Because I'm going to tell you, it's a lot of people on East Gainesville that don't even know. They don't know what a biomass is. And I think that's something that really needs to be reckoned with. We need to get with these pastors and sit down and let these people know, look, your energy bill is about to go up. These are the decisions that the elected officials that you put in office, because of whatever machinery that they got going on, this is what's happening. And we got to put a stop to it.
Yeah. All right.
And that's why I was at GRU with several other ratepayers to let them know that Nathan Scoff was looking out for them.
Yes.
And it's just hard to get the message out, but you are wonderful, and I can't thank you for how hard you've worked in this campaign.
Well, we appreciate it. It sounds like we haven't heard the last of Dejon Cain.
Oh, no.
And the thing is, it's all come down to power. The Democrat machine, as I call it, they're more interested in keeping their power and pushing their ideology on people for their own benefit, really, then they care about taking care and representing the people and looking out for people that desperately need jobs. I mean, people want to be self-sufficient, and people with jobs pay taxes. You know that, but instead they keep them down and take them for granted because that keeps them in power. It's just a vicious cycle.
And you're right, Jake. That's why I left the party. Was just for that very reason.
Well, I'm a reformed Democrat myself, you know, so, I mean, I just felt like I wasn't being represented, and I just couldn't stand, you know, that kind of attitude. And I just think I'm kind of with our guest as far as, you know, it's time to move on past party.
Well, I think that we're going to see, I'm going to put it out here, you guys are going to see a big difference real soon. I put that out there very heavy. Look for my name, because I'm not through. My voice is going to be heard. The people that are hurting in East Gainesville is going to be heard. The taxpayers that pay all this tax money, but they don't even know what's going on with their own money. It's going to be heard. And, you know, I think that God is going to allow us, and I just believe this, to get the power back. And he's building up leaders that are not afraid. And I'm one. I don't care about a party line. But what I will say is I'm going to stand up for what's right. It doesn't matter if I'm a Democrat or Republican. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, and I'm going to just throw this out here. I hear people say, Mr. Nathan Scott, you know, voted for this biomass. Well, you know, I sit down with him and I talked to him and he explained to me about it. He explained to me he didn't know all the information and all of that. You know what? I honor somebody that is able to come up front and tell you what's going on and then say, you know what? That was wrong. It's wrong, and he's fighting against it.
Well, also, he in his role as a regulator, he simply approved a method, a process. He didn't vote for it. Only the commission could do that.
And that's the thing. And if you go back and look at the records actually state that they actually told the city commission, look, this is not a good idea. Okay, so that's my thing. When you get paperwork and they're not listening to what the paperwork says, let's just go back to East Gainesville really quick. How many studies do you have to do to build up Plan East Gainesville? You know the money we're spending on a study, we can spend on building East Gainesville. Same thing with Innovation Hub, Mr. Poe. Innovation Hub, Mr. Poe. He loves Innovation Hub. Well, you know what? I got news. East Gainesville needs help. East Gainesville needs help. So that's my thing.
All right, listen, Debbie, we got to let you go. We got to take a break here on Talk of the Town, and we'll be right back. We should have let our guest read that because he could have done it with more passion.
Everyone would be buying gold right now.
That's right.
Listen, I want to take a quick moment of personal privilege to say that Gator baseball season is about to start, and if folks are going out to the ballpark tomorrow to watch the Gators take on Cal State Fullerton right before the game, it starts at 4 p.m. The university is going to honor the 1962 50th year anniversary of the 1962 Gator baseball team, which was the first UF team in any sport to achieve a #1 ranking, the first Gator baseball team to win the SEC championship, and my dad was a part of that. Ed Brady the Elder, named after me, Ed Brady the Younger.
That's awesome.
And he's had to battle cancer the last few years, and he's beaten it back, and he's going to be part of the team out there to be honored on the field. So if you go out to watch the Gators play ball, you'll see the 1962 Gator baseball team, the first SEC champions in baseball, the first Gator team of any kind to be #1 in the nation, and had named the fastest team with the most stolen bases per game of any Gator baseball team before or since.
So, Ed, you came from athletic stock. What the hell happened?
I know. Look at me now. Wow. Hopefully his grandkids have picked up that physical talent.
You could run from home plate to first base in about, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
How long?
I think that's what it was, something like that.
Let's take a lot of walks. Yeah, let's take our caller on line 2. Russ is with us. Go ahead, Russ.
Hey, guys, thanks. Great show today. It's about time that people from all different walks of life come out and call these organizations what they really are. And remember that all the politicians that are out there running for office, that are in office on a local level and a federal level, that it's we the people for the people, not your special interest organizations or groups. And if everybody had the energy that your last guest had on there, we could change this country in a matter of just a couple of years and turn it back around and get it on the right track again.
Well, I tell you what, we've got, the show before us had a candidate also on, Ted Yoho, and then our guest, Dejon Cain. They both have a passion for doing the right thing, and I think that comes through on the radio. I hope it does.
It does, and I tell you brought up a good point a while ago about these organizations not wanting people to come onto your show and certain interest in the media. That just goes to show you, once again, that we have a lot of crookedness going on, and the voters have the power to change that. I don't care what color you are, what sex you are, what organization you belong to. It is about American people voting for good policies and good people that abide by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and that will stop playing these games and get our country back on track. I'm telling you, that the energy that last guy had was awesome, and Ted Yoho has got my vote, and I'll tell you, it's time for everybody to stand up. The voters can make a difference. Quit voting for what color somebody is or what sex they are or what party they are. Vote about their values. And let's get this thing turned around. You guys keep bringing it. I appreciate y'all.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Yeah, I think what we're looking for is just, citizen servants, citizen public servants, that are more interested in doing the right thing than serving themselves.
And that's it. You're so right. We have people that want to have self-serving interest in themselves and not for our constituents. Look, our constituents is who pay us. Our constituents look up to us to do the job. And I think it needs to be to the point where we're just not campaigning to say, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But you know what? No, we want to work for you. I am the people's candidate for you, and I'm going to strive hard. And when you call my office, you're not going to talk to my secretary, but you can talk to me.
Yeah, well, and I think, and let's be fair, it runs both ways. Both parties are guilty of being, self-serving. Yeah. It's all about power, and it's not about party. It's about doing the right thing, So let's take Darlene on line one. Go ahead, Darlene.
Hold on. Hey.
Hey, I thought you were telling us to hold on.
I'm sorry. I had another call, guys. I'm sorry. Hey, first of all, Mr. Cain, good to hear your voice again on the radio.
Thank you.
It was great running with you on the campaign trail.
Awesome.
I wanted to also say the only other Cain I voted for was a guy named Herman Cain. So
he's not Cain to me.
I'm sorry he lost because he would have been a great president.
We like both Cains.
We do.
We like raising Cain.
Mr. Cain and I are good friends, right?
Yes, we are, and you're a great realtor.
Well, thank you for that. I just wanted to say I agree with Mr. Cain as to we need change right away, and we need it in the city, and I think Nathan needs a person that will make the change that's needed, and also to help Todd Chase to make some of the change. I don't know if you all watched the city commission last night, but it was outrageous. There were some good questions. It was almost over at midnight, but some of the things that's going on. And it was really sad how they talked down to Mr. Chase.
Ms. Can I tell you something?
Yes, sir.
They're going to do that. And I'm going to share this. In order to get this city back in order, we're going to have to fight. We're going to come against a lot of opposition, a lot of problems. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Cain's ready. I am ready. I don't care if it takes 2 o'clock in the morning to get things right. But Mr. Todd Chase is fighting for Gainesville. And that's an honest fact. He's fighting for Gainesville because he wants change. Regardless of every negative thing they say, he's going to get change because he's fighting for the people.
Well, apparently if you question anything at all, you're demonized. Yeah. So.
Well, I think that's exactly what, because there was this issue of the where they're going to be building the homeless shelter area, off of 53rd, and it was just very interesting, and he was asking some very, very good, deep questions, and they were spinning him around that I thought he was going to fall off his chair. But I just wanted to say that, we do need change, and early voting, I believe, starts February 20th.
Yes.
So that's important, too. And then we need to get people to go out and vote on the 28th, because if only 3 to 5% go out and vote, then that's what you deserve if it's the wrong person. So
let me ask you this.
Thank you.
Before you get off, Darlene, let me ask you this.
Yes,
what would you think of the idea of, and I'm pushing it because I think he's a great guy here, our guest. What would you think of our guest running against Mike Byerly for the Alachua County Commission?
I think he'd be great.
Oh, I think he'd stir things up. I'll tell you what, you'd shake it up.
He has, now people know him. We've all gone, as you know, through a lot of. And one other thing, and I'll let you guys go. I think the machines are broken in the community. I know they're broken in the country as far as the Republicans and Democrats. I think people have to start thinking about what is best for the country, the city, and the counties, and not whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or independent.
Wow.
It should have no labels, as one of the candidates, Donna Lutz, said, through the candidacy. But I think we need to just get people to vote and forget who you are, because, like as you said earlier, with the Democrats that are pushing for certain things, get out of the way and let the people make the decision. Both parties move on and get out and just be quiet. That's what I'm going to say, and keep up the good work, guys.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Let's take Jean on line 2. Go ahead, Jean.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. I wanted to just commend Mr. Cain for coming into the political world with the right attitude and the right attributes. Bringing that passion to the table is 80% of the job, and 20% of being familiar with the issues and wanting to serve the citizens. This party business, I'm hearing from the people that I'm talking to, and after many years of being involved in politics, and particularly serving in Alachua, where it was a nonpartisan role, people out there are sick and tired of this partisan business. And I'll give you a good example. Mr. Clovis Watson, whom I worked with for many years as city manager, brought that passion to the table, and now he's elected to run, filed his papers to run for state rep. I've actually had Democrats asking me, why hasn't the Democratic Party locally, John Raskin or Rod Smith, come out and publicly embrace Clovis Watson? Now, they're asking me, a Republican, that question. I said, you're going to have to ask the people in your party about that question. But if you have a passion for doing the right thing, and you know you're going to serve the people of your district, then what is the problem? And Mr. Cain brings that kind of passion to the table. Last comment is, I did go to the NAACP banquet, as I've done for many years. This last year was not the first year, and it wasn't just because I was campaigning. But while they were introducing the Democratic candidates, there were many Republican candidates sitting there. And after they got through introducing the Democratic candidates, they were going on with the program. Someone brought to their attention that there was no introduction of the Republican candidates. Now, we were there as citizens thinking that we are, as a society, moving forward for the right reasons. And here we were shunned. Now, the question is, why did that happen? But I just want to encourage Mr. Cain to continue in the political world for the right reasons, and don't let anybody deter you from that path.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. That was Jean Calderwood. She's running for Alachua County Commission, and so
in a different seat than the one
different
that Mike
seat.
Miley's.
Yeah, she's running for Paula Delaney's seat, and
hopefully I'll see her around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take Daniel on line 1. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thanks for taking my call. I had 2 points and then maybe a question probably for Ed, who would have the most expertise on it. But first, I'd like to say I like the cut of your jib there, Mr. Cain. Sounds good. The one point is, don't forget the solar feed-in tariff, the impact that it's going to have on East Gainesville. During the homecoming parade, I was listening to them and on the show here, and they said, oh, yeah, the float's being carried on the backs of East Gainesville residents. And I, for a minute, kind of looked around thinking, hey, where is that float like a gondola? I mean, it's the reality. It's going to impact East Gainesville.
Yeah, that's the point, is it's being heavily, the user, I mean, you can look up who's buying it and stuff. The users tend to be upper income, affluent, predominantly white users of it, and the people who have to pay the bill are those who, as you mentioned earlier, have their energy shut off when at the end of the month when they can't pay the bill. They're paying for it, and but meanwhile, the politicians who supported it, it's a feather in their cap. They go to these conferences for the League of Cities. They go to these conferences for, the Conference of Mayors, and they're lauded and patted on the back and told how wonderful and progressive it is. But the poor people are getting the bill.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to change soon.
Well, anything else, Daniel?
Yeah, today's paper, I haven't heard you guys mention it yet. I guess $1 billion is what GRU is in debt right now. It was talking about their AA credit rating. I guess they were
I saw that. Yeah.
That's a lot of money. It also talked about that big facility they built up there on Main Street, and I remember that was in planning for a while. That was, I don't remember. That's my question, I guess, for Ed, is if he remembers how much that was, and how does that work for GRU? The process of what's the percentage maybe too that GRU sends to the city.
Oh gosh,
And,
the general fund transfer I think is around $30 million. It may be up from that from when I was on the commission, but it's a big chunk of change. And you know, I would say the bond rating. It's important to have a good bond rating, but it's also important to understand what exactly it means. What it means is that for creditors, they have confidence that the elected body will raise rates to pay the bills no matter what. I mean, that's the thing. They don't give you a bond rating based on the cost burden to the rate users. They get the bond rating based on what they think the commission is willing to do to help pay off this debt. And what they've done is said we're not going to find ways to lower energy costs for users. We'll just make sure we continue to raise rates to pay the bill.
Well, I guess here's the point is, you know, your example of $1,000 worth of art to go into GPD, shouldn't they really be paying off that $1 billion debt they have before they go spending money or putting it into the city? And thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Well, you know, aesthetics. I mean, that's, you know, it's somebody else's money, you know, other people's money. It's always easy to spend other people's money.
We're up against hard break again, folks. Stay with us. We got 15 more stem winding minutes with Dejon Cain. We'll be right back. This is Talk of the Town, only on the Star 99.5.
If you would like to contact Ed and Jake, you can email them at talk995@gmail.com. That's talk995@gmail.com.
All right, we're speaking with Dejon Cain. He was a former candidate for the at-large Gainesville City Commission race, and we want to take John on line 2. Welcome to the show, John.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Fine. We're speaking with John Martin. He's another candidate for Alachua County Commission. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be on it, and I appreciate Mr. Cain. We've gotten to know him pretty good during the campaign process, and see him at all the Gator basketball games working there with the University of Florida, and he definitely brings a fresh perspective to it, because I've been one that has been saying for years, especially coming from the east side of the county and for the business in East Gainesville, that we've got to stop just going with the flow and have the courage to stand up and talk about what is right and encourage people to vote for the candidates, whether it be in the city, the county, or all the way up to the White House, for people that are what their values are and what they're actually doing, not what they're saying. Here locally, we've had a lot of people say a lot of things, and Dejon is absolutely right. They have planned East Gainesville to death. What we really need is people who are willing to put action behind words, and not only that, but this county and city commission have actually taken action which hurts East Gainesville. So it'd be better off if they actually ignored it in some of the things they've done.
Well, you know, John, you and I have talked about this in the past. Sounds like we might have a bad connection, but well, you know, Henson Rawls, when she was campaigning, she said she campaigned on you know, getting you know, job, education, and you know, and that kind of thing. Well, the thing is, if that's the case, you know, we've got a fine institution here, 2 of them, you know, and plenty of opportunities for people to get educated. But what we're doing is, because of the city and the county not providing an atmosphere where jobs can be provided and where businesses can grow, what they're doing is we're educating a whole generation of Alachua County citizens and Gainesville citizens who can't find a job here, so they're going to move away. You know, so you know, we're talking about future generations simply moving because they have to have a job, and it just doesn't seem to affect some of the officials here.
Well, I think some of them look at the last census where we actually lost population and probably think that's a good thing. And I want to say something real quick on this GRU deal that Ed was just talking about with their rating. I was reading that article with interest because it said one of the positives they listed was low cost of production. But everybody knows that even biomass aside, GRU's rates are among the highest in the state. So they're a publicly owned utility with the lowest rates of production, the highest electrical rates. When do those 2 add up to be gouging?
Right. That suggests there's something between the low production and high rates. Whatever's in the middle is being used for something else.
Right, because if a private enterprise did that for a public utility,
we'd be screaming about corporate greed and
gouging and everything else, and they'd be calling for investigations.
Well, I tell you, I've been turning about deregulation. and that we need to allow other power utility companies in Gainesville. And by doing that, that would actually bring GRU down. As we saw, the county commission actually said, hey, we're looking for somebody else.
Dejon, the wrath of the city is about to descend upon your shoulders.
I mean, you're messing with their piggy bank.
I tell you what, sometime in order to get the job done, you got to mess with the piggy bank.
Yeah.
Because the piggy bank is on the citizens, and that's the darn problem. It's on our backs. So if it takes me to go in there and mess with the piggy bank, well, let's mess with it, and let's get the job done. I'm just tired of the fact that we're using the people that cannot afford it or the people that are struggling to pay their interest, their health. We cannot afford to do that any longer. And if it takes me going in there and getting greed, getting disrespected, getting people upset with me, that's fine. You know what? Jesus took a lot of angry people, but he still got up on the third day. So I can take a lot of angry people and still rise.
Yeah, well,
all I can say to that is amen, Dejon.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks. We appreciate the call, John. We've got Kathy on line 1. Go ahead, Kathy.
To get you guys to think about strategy, because that at-large race sure taught me that we need to get organized, we need to get behind a good candidate early on and not encourage a whole bunch of candidates to run, because there's not enough of us to, we could have won that at-large seat outright if we'd have been, strategic about it. So I'd like Dejon to think about running for mayor next year and let John Martin, who coincidentally just called in, be the candidate that we support to run against Byerly, because he's an excellent candidate for that seat, and he's got so many good ideas and such a great way of presenting himself down there, and he's done his homework and he's down there all the time, and Dejon would do such a great job as mayor, so let's be smart about this and not
well, there's a lot of options for him.
Well,
yeah.
Ma'am, I like you, and I think that's awesome. My website's www.caincampaign2012.
Okay.
My number's on there. Give me a call. We can have some conversation.
Okay.
All right, thanks. We appreciate it. Let's take Pete on line 2. Go ahead, Pete.
A wonderful show today. I want to encourage Mr. Dejon Cain to continue. It's another fresh of air since we've gotten Sue Baird in there. Gainesville, machine politics. It's controlled by corrupt henchmen. We all know it. And it's identified by what I've mentioned before, Ann Coulter, in her book, Demonic. She refers to this, what's going on in Gainesville, as the mob, the so-called progressives. They're entrenched machinations. They give in. They contrive sundry scams to loot the taxpayers under the guise of helping the poor, just like the biomass deal. Or, as Nancy Pelosi bleats endlessly, it's for the children. It's for the poor. So vote for Obamacare so you can read it. The whole system has been corrupted that way. And I can see from this program that this can be turned around if we get more and more people like Sue Baird, Dejon Cain. It's a wonderful prospect.
All right. Well, we appreciate the comments.
Now, Dejon, you've been getting a lot of compliments here, but during the course of the campaign, there are some tests. I mean, again, part of the establishment. Again,
right.
There's some episodes I think that were bordering on harassment. Can you relay any of that?
Yeah, just basically people upset that I'm running and I'm supporting a Republican candidate. And they simply said, look, you don't need to support him. You need to go with the establishment, in so many words. And you know what? I got news for you. My name is Dejon Cain. You can Google my name. I don't go with the normal. I don't go with the same old, same old. I do things the right way and things that make common sense and make common sense decisions. Because that's something our city commission just don't do. They don't make common sense decisions. Like, it's not common sense to tell me to go with a Democrat that reports the biomass that I've been watching the whole campaign, and I feel that really is not qualified, and I feel that he has self-interest at hand. I don't think he really, to me, has interest for the people, and I think that's my issue, watching him one-on-one on the campaign trail.
Yeah, and let's remember, it's nonpartisan.
Yeah, it is nonpartisan. Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's take Angela on line 1. Go ahead, Angela.
Yes, I have a question I would like to ask, please. I just wanted to find out how come the Democrats here in Gainesville are treating Clovis Watson Jr., who is a very good black Democrat, the way that they are. me and a large group of Democrats are really planning on switching our party affiliation to independent because of this. And I would just like that question answered.
I would say one reason is because Clovis has proven that he can't be controlled, that he's going to do the right thing. He did the right thing in Alachua. He brought jobs to people, and he did it without, I guess, without the blessing of the party. And so, you know, he's another one of these candidates who cares about doing the right thing.
And I met Mr. Watson there. And, ma'am, I will say to you, if we keep on praying, I received the same treatment. Okay? I'm a Democrat, and I received it. But you know what? It didn't stop me. And I think that if he keeps on keeping on, me and him communicate, and we work together, we build a strong team. I don't care what comes against us, no weapon. I think we can do it, and I would love to work with him as well. I just think we got to all come together to stop this thing. And I mean, I receive the same treatment, so I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, listen, we appreciate you coming in today and taking part of your day off from work to come in, and we certainly admire your passion.
Awesome, and I thank you for having me. This will not be the last time that you see me.
Well, whatever office you decide to run for, we'd love to have you back on the show. And,
definitely.
Yeah. So, gosh, Ed, I feel like I'm exhausted.
Man. I know what a way to end the week.
I tell you what, you got a ton of calls here, so
that's good.
People
that's
know
a good
you're
indicator. So,
yeah.
All right, folks, well, make sure you stick with us for next week because we'll try to top this. Don't know if we can, but we'll certainly have some interesting stuff to go on.
And if you want
to talk about,
and also, you're talking about the baseball game. If you go out there, they're going to be honoring that. What was it? The 1960.
The 1962 Gator baseball team, first Gator team of any sport to be ranked #1 in the nation. And my old man Ed Brady the Elder will be out there.
And how they when they're warming up in the batter's box, they put the weight rings on the bat. Ed, if you show up, Ed's going to be out there with some donuts on that bat.
Yeah.
And he's going to be warming up.
I might chip a tooth. I might think those weights are donuts and try to take a bite out of them. But
well, I guess you'll be there just to see your dad.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, all right. Listen,
the Gator Nation.
Everybody have a great weekend. We'll have another great show on Monday for you here on Talk of the Town on the Star 99.5.